This is gonna be so exciting. Ooh, ooh. Hey babe, welcome back to my channel where we're gonna talk Gel X nail extensions. We're gonna talk what are they, how they work, all that awesome stuff. And most importantly, I'm going to do them on myself and show you how I do them on myself. That way, if you want to do them on yourself at home, you can do that. Also, stay tuned for the end of this video to see who the 2 giveaway winners are, because I will be announcing that towards the end of the video. Without further ado, let's just dive right in and talk gel extensions. Who makes Gel X? Gel X is produced by a company called Apres Nail. Their website is not only open to professionals, but it is also available to people who are not licensed, which is why people like you can choose to do it in the comfort of your home if you want to try it. What is Gel X? Gel X is a gel extension system that is supposed to be a little bit healthier and a little bit more natural of a nail extension system versus using acrylic. Why is it better? Why is it healthier? Let's get into the details. Gel X tips are made of 100% soft gel. So instead of acrylic where you put a plastic tip, the entire Gel X tip is the entire shape of the nail bed, including the free edge extension. So you're not just putting plastic on the tip of your nail and then putting acrylic on top or gel. It's the shape of the entire nail, and the entire tip itself is made of soft gel. What that means and why that's so awesome is it's less odor and it's 100% soakable. So you're able to soak it in acetone for 10 to 15 minutes and it should not damage your nails by any means. How do we know it's made of 100% soft gel? So here I have 2 tips. This is an acrylic plastic tip, and then this is a Gel X coffin long tip. Now if I take this Gel X tip and I squeeze it in half, really flattening it, this is what it's gonna look like. If I take this plastic tip and do the same thing, so that's the difference. You can see the way this one bends. The Gel X tip is much more flexible and bendy versus a plastic tip. And overall, because it's gel, it's not plastic or acrylic, while filing it, shaping it, doing whatever you gotta do to it, overall it's going to produce much less odor than plastic or acrylic. So that's also a huge bonus for people who might not like the smell of acrylic. Gel X might be a good substitute for you then. And last but not least, let's get into how Gel X works. So I'm gonna go over the steps and show you how I do Gel X on myself. Feel free to follow along, otherwise just keep watching. Step number 1, you're going to want to prep the nail just as you would any other manicure. I give myself a dry manicure where I'm just going to cut any extra length. If you want to keep your natural nail underneath, you absolutely can. File them, cutting my cuticles, and then buff my natural nail. You can prep your nail however you like, but I do recommend cutting your cuticles and pushing them back to make sure they're as clean as possible. That way you don't get any lifting from the Gel X tip. Step number 2, we're going to size our tips. Gel X offers tips that come in a wide range of shapes and sizes, from coffin, stiletto, round, square, but they also come in 2 different styles of nails. So you can choose to have natural or sculpted. The sculpted nail will give it a more artificial nail shape, where the apex is going to be much more prominent. It's gonna have that bump on the nail. That way it gives it that really awesome artificial shaped look. If you use a tip like the sculpted coffin, you're gonna look like you just got a full set of acrylics. Honestly, they're really, really pretty. But if you're looking for a more natural nail shape, as you can see, these are natural square tips. The apex is a little bit flatter. It doesn't have that more significant arch in it. I'm using round today because I do love the round shape. You want want to do your best to measure them as accurate to your natural nail as possible. If they're too small, it might cause discomfort and tightness around your nail bed. If you notice that you see your natural nail peeking through on your sidewalls, then it's probably too small. I would go up a size. But if they're too large, it also might cause lifting. Also, I noticed for thumbs in particular, but most people's cuticle shapes might be a little bit more square than rounded. If it's not covering your entire cuticle area, you might just want to file it a little bit just to shape it to be a little bit more square. That way you won't get any lifting or you won't have any discomfort later on. Step number 3. Once you've sized all of your nail tips and you've laid them out so you know what order they go in, you're going to want to sand down the inside of the tips. I like to use a sanding band with my drill. If you have a regular nail file, you can just use the corner of your nail file to really get in there. This is going to help create a smooth transition from the cuticle area to the natural nail. I really like to put my sanding band kind of at an angle to really get that cuticle area thinned down. That way, again, we have a smooth transition from my cuticle area of the nail bed to the gel extension that I'm adding to it. Step number 4, I'm going to clean my nail beds of any debris with just plain old alcohol. Then I'm going to use what's recommended by Apres, their dehydrator. This is going to just get rid of any excess oils that we might still have on our nail plate. That way, when we put our primer and our Gel X gel, it'll really adhere to our natural nail. Step number 5, we're going to prime our natural nails. In acrylics, I prime my natural nail twice. So just out of habit, I prime my natural nail twice doing Gel X. And I also like to prime the inside of the nail tip where I sanded it down just to do an extra layer of tackiness. I find that it works really well, and you don't have to do this step, but I like to do it for myself. Step number 6, we're going to actually apply a thin layer of Gel X gel to my natural nail. A little bit goes a long way. This Gel X gel actually does come in a bottle if you would prefer to use it in a bottle, but I like to use the pot version. This is my OPI gel brush that I like to use. It's just a flat brush. I like this because I have more control of where it goes versus the bottle. It tends to get a little thick and messy when it's just a regular brush top bottle. So I like to use the pot gel and just apply a very thin layer. You really don't want to glob this stuff on. So once we've applied the single layer of Gel X gel on our natural nail, we're going to cure it for 30 seconds. Next step, we're going to apply a layer of gel to our tip. I like to put my brush kind of all over the primed, scratched up surface. I like to kind of scrape it down the cuticle side because that's where I'm going to start by applying the Gel X tip. If you have any excess kind of drooping down a little bit, I just will wipe it with my finger. That way it's just nice and smooth of any gel that might want to spew out. Then it's time to start applying the tip to our nail. It's very difficult to do this on yourself. Practice makes perfect. Practice, practice, practice. This took me a number of times to figure out the best way to do it. So ahead of time, I will set up my light. I just use my regular LED light, which I will place on the edge of my table that I'm working at. So that way the light is kind of shining off the edge of the table. Some people will use the little flashlights or the little LED lights that you can buy from Apres, but I find them to be a little complicated when working on yourself. Obviously, if you're working on someone else, definitely go with the little light. It's a lot easier. So now that we're going to place the tip on our nail, what we're going to do is take this already filled gel tip and we're going to start from the cuticle. So starting at a 45-degree angle, we're going to place the tip and we're going to move that gel towards the free edge. So I'm going to place my thumb at the bottom because I don't want any gel to spew out of the edges or the sidewalls. So I'm going to use my thumb as a barrier to prevent any gel from coming out of my cuticle area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push my thumb towards the end of my free edge and watch as the gel moves forward. I'm going to stop applying pressure once I see that the gel has reached the end of my natural nail. That way I don't have any excess gel spewing from the bottom. And once we feel that it's got an even layer. There aren't any air bubbles, there aren't any overflows happening. We're going to hold it and come under our lamp, place our whole finger under there and hold it while it cures for 10 seconds. You'll start to feel it tightening a little bit perhaps, and that just means that it's hardening, which is a-okay. And once you feel that it's hardening, you can let go and just let it cure by itself for another 30 seconds. You're just going to continue this process for all of your fingers until you're done. Of course, practice makes perfect. You might not do so well the first nail, and that's totally fine. The more you do this, the easier it will come to you. You'll become a professional in no time. Once our nails are completely on and cured, if you notice that you have any overflow in your cuticle area or your sidewall area or underneath your nail, this does happen sometimes, so I'm going to use my drill bit. If you have a thin cuticle type drill bit, you can use that, but I like to use this cone-shaped nail bit. That way I can really get in my cuticle just to smooth that out again, so I don't have any lifting or any like bumpiness as it's growing out. As for underneath here, I have a little bit of overflow. I'm just going to separate my skin from the hardened gel. I'm going to take a thin cuticle bit and I'm just going to lightly drill under there. That way it's smooth, so I don't have any like weird overhang lip as it's growing out. Step number 8 is we can now cut and file the tip that is on our natural nail. If you are going to cut any of your Gel X tips, you want to be really careful. These are not like natural nails. If you cut them just directly in the middle, it could easily crack because these are curved and they are a little bit thick, so you don't want to cut it in the middle. You're going to want to cut half of a side at a time. The less cutting, the better, because then the less likely you're going to get any cracks. But if the length looks good to you and you just want to file it, as you can see, the edges sometimes have a little bit of a bump and you just want to smooth those out. You can smooth them out with a file and just file as needed. Step number 9. Before we start any of our polishing, you can do a few things. Apres has promoted that you can just wipe the Gel X tip with acetone, which will create a tacky layer to make your regular gel polish stick to it. I don't like to do that. I like to go the extra mile because I guess I'm extra that way. But what I like to do is I like to file it with a sanding band. If you don't have a sanding band, you can easily just buff it with a buffer just to create a rough surface. After I do that, then I'm going to take acetone and wipe away that debris from what I just buffed. I like to buff the surface because those grooves, as we apply product on top of it, it's going to stick better in each of those grooves versus it sitting on a just smooth tacky layer. You know, it just kind of makes sense to me. After I've cleaned the debris off, then I'm going to apply another layer of primer and just start polishing with my regular 2 coats of polish. I use Light Elegance in the shade Crystal. You all know I love having glitter polish on my right hand. It just makes me feel so fun and festive. After I've applied my 2 coats of glitter polish, I'm just going to apply 1 coat of Koopa non-white top coat. This is a great universal non-wipe gel top coat. It works with a lot of brands and it's really shiny. I love it. After everything's done, definitely apply your favorite cuticle oil because your cuticles are going to be really dehydrated per any manicure that you do with artificial nails. Also, I did demonstrate how to remove them. Again, they are 100% soft gel, so they are 100% soakable. So all you have to do is basically take off your polish, file off that gel as you would normally. If you have a drill, use your drill. If you don't have a drill, just use a really coarse hand file. So what you'll do is just cut off the free edge because you know you're not going to need that. So just cut that off, file down as far as you can without really hurting yourself. You want to get as much of that Gel X tip down as possible. I like to use foil and cotton. Just soak your cotton and wrap it around your finger with foil to create any heat and just let that soak for 10 to 15 minutes. 10 minutes should be fine enough. While it's soaking, if you notice that it's starting to feel a little bit dry, like the acetone has completely dried up, then just take a little dropper and drop a little bit down into your foil. That way it rehydrates the cotton to continue the soaking process. Once your 10 minutes is up, you can remove the foil and then just take a cuticle pusher, and you will see that you can easily scrape off the Gel X tip and the Gel X gel. It's literally that easy. And that's why this is a really nice substitute for people who don't really want to damage their nails, because look, it just completely soaks off and there's really no damage necessary to be done to your natural nail. And yeah, that's the Gel X gel extension system. I love that it looks a little bit more natural than acrylics, but I also love that it's super easy and it's super attainable for a lot of people at home who might want extensions but don't know how to do acrylic. It's all around a really good product for people at home who want to try having extensions but probably know that they're not going to do well doing acrylics on themselves. This is probably a really great fit for you. I personally love it on myself. Highly recommend. That's it. Now into the juicy stuff. It's time to announce my giveaway winners. All of you guys had such wonderful positive things to say, and I just want to say thank you for entering, and thank you for saying all of the nice things you said about your friends, your family members, your children. I just think that's really awesome, and I hope you guys continue to have positive attitudes, especially during a time like this, because it's really important for our sanity to just have that positive outlook on life. So thank you so much for spreading so much love and positivity, and I hope you guys continue to do that in your everyday life. But without further ado, I have officially listed all of your guys' names in a randomizer here, all of those of you who have entered, and we're going to pick two. So my two winners are going to be Giselle Sanchez and Rapman Garman. So sorry if I butchered up your name, but I will put those two winners down here on the screen below. Thank you so much for entering, and thank you so much for watching wherever you are. I love you. Again, thank you so much to all of you who entered. I really greatly appreciate it, and stay tuned for more possible giveaways. Also, if you like this video, this tutorial, give it a thumbs up. If you end up trying Gel X at home, tag me in your photos, in your videos. I would love to see them. I will also have all of Apres Gel X extension system links down below, so that way you guys can check them out. But anyways, that's it for this week's video, guys. Stay tuned for next week, as I will do acrylics on my other hand, which will be really fun and exciting. That's it for this week's video. I will see you guys all next week on next week's video. So long and farewell, my babes, and until next time, bye!